Yeah, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to CRL Chart Request Live. It's the show where you bring the tickers. We have the charts. Spencer Israel here with JC Perez. JC, what's up, man?
What it is, my man, what it is. Looking at some charts. You know, one of the things I like about this is we've proven time and time again that the people watching the content that we're putting on and reading our blogs and everything, I mean, All-Star Chart's been around for 12, 13 years already, is the smart money, right? We get great ideas, and I can tell you, Straz, I'll tell you the same thing. So will Patrick. The ideas that we get from our audience, you know, help shape the research that we put out. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yep. So as a reminder, if it's your first time watching the show, very simple premise. If you think back to all those years ago, there was a show called TRL where you could request a music video and they would play the video during the show. It's just like that, but for charts. If you have a question, hop on over to YouTube. I'm not monitoring the Twitter chat, so hop on over to YouTube and put your ticker in the chat. We'll do our very best to cover as many tickers as we can in the next few minutes. Let's start with a question we got via email. I always do show preference to people who email us questions at stockmarketmedia.com. If you email us there, give us a ticker, I will show preference to you. So we got one yesterday. Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, was the ticker. I forgot who emailed it, but I said we would do it. So let's do it right now, as now my phone's blowing up. Let's pull up the chart. Here it is. What is going on here?
Well, what are we seeing here? We're seeing former support levels from back in 2021, right? And then that broke last year, you know, about a year and change ago. And now here we are, and it's running into resistance, right? Former support turning into resistance. This is what, you know, technicians call polarity. You know, essentially what's happening here is that at these levels, right? Why did prices keep rising from those levels? Why? Because at those prices, call it 110 or so, 105, 110, there was more demand than supply at those prices for whatever the reason. And then ultimately, when prices broke, that means that there was more supply than demand. Finally overwhelmed that demand and prices went down. So now that we're back to the scene of the crime, what do we know from prior instances? That there's more supply than demand at these prices, and that is precisely what we've seen here. So, you know, listen, if Taiwan Semi can find its footing here near 100, I like it here short term. I got to tell you, it's a really interesting level, interesting action over the last couple of days. Nice, healthy, well-deserved pullback in semiconductor stocks. They had a heck of a run. You got to pull back for a couple of weeks. Pretty standard. I got to tell you, if Taiwan Semi's above 100, you know, a long position makes a ton of sense to me in such a high momentum name that is really the whole space. But TSM, a very high market capitalization. I don't think people realize just how big this is. This represents about a quarter of the entire stock market of Taiwan, by the way. I don't know if you realize that. $530 billion market cap. Wow, it's bigger than I thought, actually. I knew it was big, but wow, $530 billion. That's big time.
Asked me to name another Taiwanese, Taiwan-based company, and I couldn't do it. So that question was from Praveen. Hope that helps. This one's from Roger, who just emailed us a few moments ago. He dropped us a few tickers. I'm just going to pick one. Let's look at Monday, monday.com, MNDY, some workplace software as a service productivity. Very similar to Asana in terms of the type of business.
MN,
Mary Nancy Delta
CY
DY Mary Nancy Delta Yankee MNDY.
Monday.com.
Yep.
MNDY.
There we go.
So, you know, I always like to see, you know, this is close to an $8 billion Israeli software, huh? All right. I see you.
I didn't know they were Israeli. If you say so.
From Tel Aviv. Last I checked, Tel Aviv is in Israel. I don't know if that is. I know Spencer Israel gets a little bit all you know, Mr. Israel over here.
It's me.
Yeah, man, Tel Aviv. I've never been. You've been to Tel Aviv? I'm dying to go.
Oh yeah, a couple times. Great.
Really?
City. Oh yeah.
I hear it's awesome.
Great city. Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, what do we got here?
So what do we got? You know, we were just talking about former support levels turning into resistance in Taiwan Semi. What do we have here? You know, we talked about, you guys were making fun of me on the IPO price. Remember, you guys were making fun of me on the morning show. How I think that immediately after it goes public, you start to get information, and then you can use that in the future. Remember?
We weren't talking about Monday.
We were not, but the strategy that I was talking about that you guys were ripping on me for.
We agree with you. We agree with you.
Was that the IPO price turns into support and resistance in the future, and you trade that accordingly, whether it's
of course it does.
Whether it's 2 hours after the IPO or 2 years after the IPO in this case, right? So here we are.
Yeah.
And where are we running into resistance in Monday.com over the last few weeks? Where? At the freaking IPO price. Like this happens again and again and again. You know what I'm saying?
You're referring to the opening price. I'm going to try to find, if I can, as quickly as possible, if my computer will let me, the IPO price. Because very often...
it's where it trades that I'm interested in. Where they price it the night before, I don't care.
Fine.
Does that clarify that?
Fine, then I give up. I'm not going to look anymore. Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care where they price it at. I only care where it trades. That's what I'm interested in. What it was priced the night before, and whether the investment bankers got it right or wrong. That's not my problem.
The whole thing is that there was potential supply at that price, right? So
I've never seen any evidence of that.
Okay.
Fair enough. Of where they price it the night before the IPO. I've never seen evidence, and I've never seen evidence that there's any supply or resistance importance there whatsoever. It's only where it trades. And here, Exhibit A, right? This is the anchored VWAP from that IPO, just an FYI, that's that blue line. So the average participant is basically a flat, essentially, since the IPO. So a big level there. Listen, obviously it's proven to be trouble, above 175. If you can start creeping above 175 again, I don't have a problem with this at all. This is a software stock, right? There's a lot of interesting technology there in Israel coming out of there in Tel Aviv. But tonight's vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe. Okay. Let's go to Wavy McFly. Just emailed us. Rio Tinto. Let's take a look-see. How's Rio doing?
The Rio Tinto, Brazilian. Mm-hmm. It's why is it listed in London? Isn't it Brazilian? I always thought Rio Tinto.
I thought it was.
I think maybe they have like their locations are in Brazil or something like that, but it's actually British. And technically, it's 170 billion. It's big time. They're based in London. Really? Yeah, they're based in London, but I think they have like Latin American operations. I'm not Mr. Fundamental guy, so I don't want to.
I always thought it was Brazilian too. That's interesting. Okay. Anyway.
So this is what I'm looking at here. So this is Rio. It actually looks a lot like the Brazil ETF, just an FYI. Actually, yeah. No, it's not even listed in the Brazilian ETF, Rio Tinto. So this is definitely more British than anything else. So that's interesting. All right. Nevertheless, this thing is a hot mess. Incredibly hot of a mess. Like this thing is just, and it goes to show you sort of the material space in general. It hasn't been a good space. Maybe some of the chemical stocks have done well. But this thing's just a hot mess is really what it is. So this is bigger picture in the middle of a massive, massive range. And then when you look shorter term, we are in the middle of a massive, massive range. And then when you look short term, we're in the middle of a massive range. So this is just, this is just a mess. And, I would say if volatility was higher, perhaps these would be good types of stocks to maybe sell some premium, collect some income. If volatility was higher, I'd be looking at names like this to do that. But volatility is not high. You're not really getting paid much to do that trade. So we've just kind of been avoiding them.
Okay. Speaking of hot messes, this is a bad one. This is from Joe. He's asking about Disney. He wants you to fib it for him if you can. Just a disaster. There was an article over the weekend in the Journal about all the legacy media operators, your Disneys and your Paramounts and your Warner Brothers and what a bad year or a few years it's been, frankly, for all those businesses. The Disney chart looks ugly.
So this goes back to the 1980s, and you can see just this monster, right? This is, I don't know how many times Disney split. My suspicion is quite a bit. But nevertheless, split adjusted. This thing is just absolutely just a beast, right? So this is the key support, right? This is it. This is your, this is your final line in the sand, right? This is where it all, everything comes to break. You had a similar sort of circumstance here, right? Where it's like, okay, does it collapse, right? And break that support and now we go down, or does it, hold and rip? And in this case, it held and ripped. So in this case, here we are at support. What's it going to do? Is it going to hold like it has before, or is it going to completely fall apart? This kind of goes back to sort of reverse engineering the bull market, that we've been in the camp that we've been in, right? Because the majority of stocks are going up. This is a good example of one that is not, and hasn't for quite some time. Right now, sitting around right around 89. If this is a bull market and a company of this magnitude, $163 billion in market capitalization, that has already fallen 60%, is it going to continue to fall? Is this the end of Disney, or are we just near support? The buyers are going to come in like they have in the past, and Disney is going to join the rest of this bull market. I find the latter easier to believe. Disney might be one of those just, close your nose, close your eyes and buy it. If this is a bull market, I don't think it's a high probability outcome that Disney's going to be completely falling apart here. Right? So why don't we do this? Why don't we break it down shorter term?
Just for context on the split, Disney hasn't had a split since 2007. And before that, 98. So there haven't been that many splits in its history.
Yeah, but it definitely wasn't a penny stock in the 80s, right? So it's definitely had a few.
Yeah, they had a 4-for-1 in 86, a 4-for-1 in 92, a 3-for-1 in 98. Yeah, so you're right. And then they had a really bizarre one in 07. I hope you're right, JC. I really do. for my own sake.
What, for Disney? Why, you own Disney, right?
Oh yeah. But also I never look at it. It's not.
There's these guys at All Star Charts that put together research and trade ideas. I don't know if you've heard of them. No. You should check it out. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So here we're looking at Disney here in the short term, right? And talk about the gloom and doom, right? I mean, nobody has anything good to say about Disney except for Spencer Israel, but he's what we refer to as a bag holder. So he at this point, so it just has not much of a choice here. But I got to tell you, this is shaping up to be quite the interesting scenario here for Disney, Spencer. I got to tell you, I'm going to call Sean, as a matter of fact. You see why we do this, guys? I hadn't really thought through the Disney situation until you guys brought it up. So kudos to Monkey Ninja 213 for bringing that up.
Wait, I thought it was Joe.
I'm just kidding. I don't even see the chat.
It was Joe.
I'm just making up names. Joe, good look here. I think I got to tell you this. With all this support here, right? If the buyers are ever going to show up to Disney, this is where it is. Like if they don't show up here, they ain't ever showing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's now or never for Disney. And I think it might be, I think there's a decent chance that it's now. Notice how momentum, is not getting oversold here. That's interesting. Down near support. Buyers have stepped up here in the past. I think they'll do it again. Spencer. I think maybe you got 20, 25 points to the upside.
Hey, I'll take that.
All right, Spencer likes that one.
All right, I am looking at the chat, and we love all the participation and takers. I do, I do show preferential treatment to tickers that have a longer history or are above. Why?
Yeah, that's stupid.
You want to look at it like an IPO from last week?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, all right, I was joking about that, but fine. But we can look at like Pool.
No, but we're not going to not look at a stock because it hasn't been trading for 10 years. Like, what if it's trading for 3 months? All
right, then look at Pool, POOL. This is from Eric Gonzalez. This is a Pool supply store.
Spencer's just hating on new issues. What are you hating on new issues
Oh
for?
no, I was trying to. I like new issues. I thought you were the one that didn't like new. Is that
POOL? No.
Yeah, maybe that's Steve.
Which one is it?
Yeah, you may have bad data because POOL is a. I thought they were a recent IPO.
No, they're absolutely not. You were very wrong.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That might be an old ticker. Hold on.
POOL?
Oh wait, no, my data was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the matter with you?
My data was wrong. I apologize. You're right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have like, I don't know, maybe the best data on earth. We spent a lot of money on our data.
My mistake. Cool.
So this is a $14 billion industrial stock out of Covington, Louisiana. All right. Shout out Louisiana. We need like a stock market TV event in New Orleans so we could just like crush oysters and freaking crawfish, right?
Sure.
So here is the not so new issue, Pool Corporation. Right, Spencer?
That's not so new.
Not a new issue. Not a new issue. So I see it really in this range here, right? 450. You know, this is sort of the range. And, you know, it's at the lower end of the range. You know, if you want to look at it shorter term, you know, maybe picking up. It probably gets some sympathy from, you know, heading up to 450 or so, maybe. Probably see some sympathy out of the industrials. You know, industrials getting some of that rotation. Industrials looking pretty solid, up a stick today. So I think it probably trades with the sector. If we continue to see sector rotation into industrials, this is probably going to do well. I'm in Caterpillar. They don't look that different to one another. So if I'm doing well in the Caterpillar, if industrials are doing well, then this is probably not falling.
Okay.
I bought Chevron yesterday. How do you feel about that, Spencer? Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat interested in Chevron? My suspicion is that there isn't. Or energy stocks in general. Is anybody interested in energy? I don't think so. That's one of the reasons I'm buying.
I'm not usually interested in energy, but yeah, it's been
because
there
Spencer, you suffer from a severe case of recency bias, and because you're a young man, you were in diapers in the last energy bull market, right? What were you doing in 2006?
I was in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
You were in high school, you know, doing what high school kids do, and it ain't trading energy stocks.
Fine, you're right. Let's show some recency bias. JC, after you left the show this morning, we had a really good discussion about Uber. Every so often we talk about a stock, and the discussion gets me so excited that I think about just going out and buying it that day. I haven't bought Uber yet today, but I've thought about it because we had such a good discussion this morning about the stock, which I have not thought about or looked at for quite some time. And I didn't realize, I mean, obviously I knew it's been going up because it's a tech stock, right? But damn, this chart's looking good right now. What do you think? This is from Gabriel in the chat.
Shout out Gabriel. All right, so here, what are we doing here? So here's Uber, and then here's Lyft.
Yeah. I mean, look at that divergence. It's crazy.
Right. So let's label these responsibly. And now we're looking at Lyft. You want to hear a fun fact about JC? I have never, ever taken a Lyft before.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
So, you know, that's sort of what it looks like to me. You know, getting back to what we were discussing before, Spencer, in terms of the IPOs, you know, this was the high after the IPO, so I'm going to anchor to that for sure. And the market has definitely respected that level, right? You know, you've seen it turn into support and resistance in the past, right? Multiple times, right? So here we are now again, back to the scene of the crime. So this was kind of like your, you know, sort of, whoops, sorry. You know, this is sort of like your oopsies, right? But the main number here is right around 47. You know, 47 is probably a good number right there. You know, that's kind of your line in the sand to me. right? So you can really see the difference between Uber and Lyft. Just tremendous underperformance out of Lyft, and then Uber, flat on the day. But yeah, 47 is a big one. Here we are, right, sitting around 44 and a half. Ish, 44 and change. So you start getting about 47, I don't hate it. Lyft is one that maybe if you want to play for a mean reversion, but it's just not for me. If you're going to be in any of these, you want to be in the strength, right? So this one's making new 52-week highs. It's not a terrible thing, but running into some resistance, as we call it, that probably deserves, a pullback. I mean, this thing's up 120%.
Yeah. And it got beaten down pretty bad. So it's nice to see it get some of those losses back. What about from who asked about this? Oh shoot. Kevin wants to look at Lowe's. He wants to know if today counts as a breakout for LOW. On the 1 year, sure.
So this is Lowe's. So you guys could see. It's going from the lower left to the upper right. Where I grew up, we call those uptrends, right? I don't know what you call them in New Jersey, Spencer. We call them uptrends.
We call them uptrend. That's what we call them.
Do you call it Taylor ham or do you call it pork roll?
I don't have a dog in that fight. I've always thought pork roll sounded more natural, but I'm pretty neutral on it. I'll be honest. Don't really care.
I think it's a North Jersey, South Jersey thing.
And I'm from Central, so that's why I don't really care.
You're very confused. Got it. So you don't take it as personally is really what it is.
I really don't. No.
That's fair. I freaking love pork roll.
I know. Pork roll, egg, and cheese just rolls off the tongue. Taylor ham doesn't roll off the tongue as well. But
salt, pepper, ketchup, hot sauce?
SPK. Yeah.
So this is what it looks like to me. It's not including today's data, up 2.6%. Sitting around pushing 224, making new 52-week highs. Not new all-time high, but new 52-week. New 52-week highs, Spencer. You know what? You don't see a lot of in downtrends. You don't see a lot of new 52-week highs. Spencer, you know what? I was told it was only 5 stocks that were going up. Some people said it was only 7 stocks that were going up. You know what it is? It's hundreds of stocks ripping in your face all year long. How do you feel about that?
I like it as someone who is basically, long for the rest of my life, right? It's in my best interest to be long stocks. So of course I'm happy when the stocks go up because my retirement is.
What if we're in a bear market? Are you going to hate me because I'm going to be shorting everything and like your retirement account?
No. Bear markets are good for young people. So
sounds like everything is good for young people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. It's a win-win for us. Talk to me in 30 years and I won't be so.
Dude, small caps are up 1.7% today. Absolutely ripping.
Well, that's good because they've been lagging. So that's good that they're catching up. No?
We call it rotation where I grew up there.
I've been listening.
Yes. So this is small caps in case anybody's wondering, they're going to need to catch a bid. This would be a perfectly logical time. And by the way, that Disney sort of situation we presented before where it's kind of like just hold your nose and buy it. Like it's been support before. There's a good chance it's going to be support again. Small caps were exactly like that. We bought them last month, remember? And they looked like shit, and we put on a risk reversal. It was like kind of just, pinch your nose and just buy them. And that's worked out in our favor. So Disney's kind of like that.
Yep.
I don't own Disney, but thinking about it, I'm going to call Sean about it.
All right.
So we put it on a trade.
All right. Here's
sell some puts, make it rain some puts.
Here's one for Joel's 5.0 sleep number. This was a SNBR is your ticker. This was $150 stock a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I guess, right? When was that? 2 years ago now. Okay.
Well, it's only a $600 million company, so this is tiny. Technically, it's a small cap, but it's below our $1 billion threshold. But we're going to take a look at it anyway.
It wasn't 2 years ago, is my point.
Right. That's right. So consumer cyclicals. This is out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. There, Spencer.
I just like so Joel says the chart's been ripping. I guess he's in from 20 to 26 now. I can't bring myself to buy a company that sells beds because how many beds are you going to buy in your lifetime? You know what I mean?
I just heard a fun fact that good hotels turn their beds every 5 years. Bad ones do it every 10 years. I just learned that fun fact. How about that?
I did not know this.
I did not know this either. Fun fact.
All right.
So, back to the IPO 99, right? A lot of market memory here, as you can see, right? This is what that looks like here to me, right? So what do we keep bringing up? We keep bringing up these IPO highs. Look at that. So it IPO'd and then shit the bed with everything else, right? Look at this IPO. It was December 98, just setting everybody up for a disaster.
Oh.
What's interesting is this thing already started crashing in 99. So this was a good example of, a classic example at the time of just the liquidity events just get out and it just falling apart well before the overall market peaked a year later. So interesting. So a lot of market history here. Same thing, failed again. And then what happened? And then ultimately we broke out, right? Broke out in 2011 and that level became support and became support and became support, became support, right? And here we are back to the scene of the crime and finding support again, right? And it made new all-time highs. It peaked in March of 2021, right when all these consumer cyclicals, technology growth peaked. This thing peaked, and now we're back to those post-IPO highs. I mean, again, not to keep beating a dead horse, but I mean, it's up 10% today, so now it's already moving. But from a bigger picture, longer-term standpoint, I think you might have something here, Spencer. I think you might have something here. Don't be hating on bed companies, Spencer. I can't get myself to buy a company that sells beds. Why not? People need beds.
Yeah, they need one bed for the next 20 years.
No bullshit. Every 5 years they turn it over. I just learned that.
The hotels do. Motel 6 isn't. Let's do one more. We're being asked for UAL, United Airlines. Airlines are just absolutely ripping today. You can thank Delta for that. They came out with some guidance this morning. And so the whole sector is up today. The whole industry group is up today. UAL up 5.5%. Wow.
Dude, airlines in general have absolutely been ripping.
You know what? You have falling oil prices to thank for that, right? Falling oil prices, cheaper fuel costs, fewer expenses for airlines. And cruise lines too.
United Airlines, based out of Chicago, fun fact, $18 billion in market cap. Here's your longer term look. Let's break it down shorter for some of the traders. So here's what this looks like, bigger picture, right? So here's your collapse from grace after COVID, right? This is your support that broke, and that was all she wrote, right? So I would look to that as sort of like a magnet. If you're looking for a target, back up to those levels. So this is your pre-COVID support, right? And then this broke right here. And then crashola, right? Because no one's going to be flying ever again because pandemic and the whole thing. Well, I would be looking for those levels, right around 78, 77, 78 or so as a target to the upside. That's still 20 points away there, Spencer.
All right.
I don't know. 20 points on 56. We're looking at 37%-ish, 38%, something like that. It's not nothing. So from the long side, where do we own it from? That's the question, because it's pretty messy. I mean, it's basy like so many others, right? But you still got resistance up here from these former highs, right around 62. So maybe long against 54, maybe long against 54 and either take half off the table at 64 or, maybe an idea would be to maybe add to positions above 64 with a target of 70 ultimately, but below 54, you can't own it. Here we are at 56. So that's what that looks like to me.
Okay. I think that's a good place for us to wrap it up here. As a reminder, you can always and you should email us if you have questions, because this show airs every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Tuesdays are JC and I. Thursdays are Straza and Patrick Donawilla from the Chart Report. So email us questions at stockmarketmedia.com, and we will show a bias to you on this show and answer your questions on this show. Thanks to everyone in the chat. We love you guys. We love the participation. Without you, this show would just be JC and I talking to ourselves. So we do this for you, and we hope.
And we find some good ideas. I think I might be buying some Disney.
I'm still looking at this Uber chart. I know you weren't as bullish.
Why would I buy Uber as it approaches resistance?
But anyway, okay.
Or buy anything as it approaches resistance.
That'll be a wrap. Next video on the channel, we'll have part on the price action. That'll get uploaded at around 3 o'clock Eastern Time today, so stay tuned for that. That's a wrap for CRL. Everyone, have a great rest of your day. Happy trading. Go make some money. See you later.
Adios.